Welcome back, everybody, to Iconic Rod and Custom. And today, on episode 6, we're going to start putting Mighty Mouse back together. Now, as you can see behind me, I have a roof panel made up and just clamped on there. I'm not quite finished with it yet. I got to tweak it a little bit. But we're getting into, obviously, more fabrication again. As you can see, I don't remember if I put it on episode 5 or not, but we did the front cross member and rounded the corners off on that. Scott was making up the cab mounts. We made 6 of them for the cab since it's going to be extended. And yeah, so let's get to it.
Scott did an excellent job on these, on this front cross member and rounding those corners over. I just felt it was worth showing again. It just looks like they were meant to be there originally. You know, every time we do any kind of fabrication, we do it to the best of our ability. And to make it aesthetically pleasing and the flow, contours, we always try to make sure it looks as if it was meant to be there. As Scott goes in to weld the tube section of the cab mounts, I am, as you can see, making a pattern for the roof panel itself. Now I just trimmed it up and I'm taking the magnets off now. But once I get this paper off here, you can see that I temporarily put the center of this roof section back in that was cut with 2 5¼ inch pieces of metal on each side of that. So I know exactly how wide, how big my panel has to be. Now, yes, I could have used these themselves, but it's a lot more welding to do and more warpage, so I elected to make a new top panel for this roof itself. So here is a shot of the tube style cab mounts that Scott designed. Now over on the plasma cutter, I'm cutting out the plates that are 3/16 inch that will also get welded onto this for extra support. I guess you can call them a gusset. Having a plasma CNC table has really helped us a lot and sped the process up. The dressing time, of the part that you cut out is cut to a minimum. Everything is so nice and even and uniform. It's just a nice piece to have. So here is the plates tack welded onto the tube cab mounts. So back onto the roof panel, once I have the paper laid out, I mark the blank and I cut it out. Now, as I said, this is going to be oversized. It'll get trimmed down to fit more once all the shaping is done. Lots of shrinking and stretching and just manipulation of this metal to get it to fit properly. We'll start with a series of shrinks across the front of this panel where it rounds down over top of the windshield, and then we'll smooth that back up. Now I'll be using the power hammer and an English wheel as well as a stomp shrinker stretcher to get this panel formed the way we need it. So obviously here you can see a lot of shrinks in there, and going back in with the English wheel right now, smoothing them up. I will, as I said, I'll use a combination of both. I have thumbnail dies for in the power hammer. I can shrink it and then I can run over to one of the English wheels and just smooth it back out, lay it on the roof to see how much we need to go yet, or where we need to do some more metal shaping on those areas. So you can see in the background, Scott's back inside the cab. I believe he is final welding the plates onto the tubes of the cab mounts. He's a really good welder. He's my right hand man. I mean, he's right up there, and not much that he can't do. What he can't do, he's willing to learn, and that's what it takes. Now here you can see that I started trimming the roof panel down. Still a long ways to go for fitment. Actually, I ended up splitting it down the middle because it was fighting me a lot to get the shrinkage I need and to make the contour on both sides. So I just opted to split it down the center, take welded it back up, and it fits really nice. Here I've made a contour gauge up because I need to bead roll those flanges into the front where the windshield will recess back into it. You can see there I have it marked now. I'll take it over to the bead roller and get those put into place then here at some point. Before I do any final trimming on that roof panel itself, I need to put this reinforcement back into the rear of the original section of the roof so I can keep that contour. You can actually see how it's bowed a little bit on the rear panel. We need to replicate that and keep that the same consistency going back the whole complete roof. And of course we get visitors from friends now and again, and here's Big Joe Runner, one of our buddies that he's working on a couple of Chevys himself, so shout out to you, Joe. Now here you can see I've taken that temporary roof panel back out so I can get my pattern and the fitment that I need. But you can see the front of this reinforcement I left on the both right and the left side. I'm going to trim the outer section of that panel off there because that's what we're going to clamp that new roof panel to. And I got to make that center section of that reinforcement then as well before I weld the panel on even temporarily. This is what I need to do. Now I'll just use an air chisel with a flat bit on there to cut those spot welds off of them little pieces, and then I'll go back in and grind them down flush, dress them up real nice so they're ready to be clamped and welded. And a quick glimpse of the centerpiece that I'll need to put back in there with addition each side. So now I'm putting that flange or the step in the top piece of this roof panel where the windshield recesses into it. That's what I'm doing now. I'll run it through 2 or 3 times to get the right depth that I need, and we'll go over and fit it up again. So now it's time to put the roof panel on there and get it clamped into place. Now I don't know if you can notice, but there's a little bit of resistance on that. It humps up from side to side. I want to keep some of that in there. If you notice, when we cut the center section out of that roof originally, it curled up. So that means there was still resistance or strength within that panel. Now we're going to lose a little bit of that. It's going to shrink up some when you weld it. It's inevitable. Anytime you weld anything, the metal's going to shrink. So that'll take a little bit of that out of there, but we still want that in there because we don't want an oil can effect on this roof panel. So once it's clamped on there, we're going to measure and measure again to make sure that center point of that roof panel is perfect from side to side. We're going to need that as perfect as we can get it, because ultimately we're going to drop a plumb bob off that point of the upper roof, let it hang down, and that's going to determine the center point of our dash and our hood, ultimately cowl panel. So as I said, everything needs to be spot on as we build this. Now I'm replacing the big clamps with these small sheet metal clamps that have a 16th inch gap between them. We're going to MIG weld this on. I like to TIG weld a lot, but for this purpose we're just going to MIG weld it because that's what most people have anyways, and it just takes a little bit of time to do it. So at this point we have it all clamped on there. The next step is to make that front reinforcement, and I'll take the panel off probably several times, but I'm going to run it through the planishing hammer or the English wheel lightly, do a washover pass, make sure it's all smoothed out as uniformly as possible to lessen our body work if at all possible. And that's it makes a nicer job overall if you can do that. So I'll give you a little close-up shot so you can see that flange or the step around that windshield frame a little bit better, as well as the splice I put down the center of it to make the point. I'll dress that up better, and it'll be virtually unnoticeable. But there you have it. I want to thank everybody for following along with us on this custom build. We have a lot more work to do, and obviously that means a lot more episodes. So I hope you continue, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and comment. Please make comments, whether good or bad, or if you have ideas about something. Hey, I want to hear them. So until the next one, take care, guys.